All right, welcome back to the channel. And we're going to be doing a little bit of crafting. So, first thing I need to do is get my apron on. Got my extra gloves here and everything I need. Now, what I have here is a bunch of 3D printed sandbags. They've already been uh, cured and everything. One negative is I bought this resin. It was on sale for $20 a liter. And while it does make beautiful prints, like I've got prints that are just like absolutely the detail is amazing on these things, right? See if I can get the focus in for you guys. Okay, it's not focusing. For those who are wondering, that is a medic, uh, which is a mercenary that New Antioch and the Trench Pilgrims can take, is what that is. So, um, yeah, this resin prints out at such great detail, 12K. But the negative is that it's very brittle. It's like, whereas when I used up the last of the extra tough resin I had, that stuff isn't brittle, but it just doesn't seem to get the crisp, the sharpness of some of the sculpts that I've put out. So I've got my iron makers yet to paint. I did all the metallic on them. So they're going to be pretty easy. They're like 4 colors. And that way, if I want to swap out the silent men for iron makers, I can do that. And then I've got bunch of trench guys. Like this guy, I decided to go ahead and put I think this is the M something 18 or whatever. It's the World War I German machine gun. It's got a drum magazine that goes on it too. So I've been mixing and matching not only the infields that came in the game, because the basic weapon of the good guys in this game is the infield, pretty much. That's the basic weapon, right? But I've been like giving some of my guys Mausers, Mosin the Gaunts, shotguns, just, like this guy right here, he's got a Mosin. And I've started, painting him a little bit. But see how look how crisp the detail these guys are coming out with is amazing. And then, of course, I went with a alternate because this is a miniatures agnostic game. So I went with an alternate trench priest or whatever, the leader of the, female. And I gave her a castigator shield because all of the side, my brother is looking cool today. Hey, pooped to hold the phone and type. Hey, bro, you had the hard part of mass. I had the easy part. So the reason I did her up this way is I'm doing my entire warband is going to be based on Imperial Russian stuff. So the shoulder things that the trench pilgrims wear will all have Orthodox crosses. I've printed out some tiny little Orthodox crosses to hang off of belts and stuff, which means if someone else were playing trench pilgrims, but they were playing I don't know, Protestants or Roman Catholics or something, then we could actually fight it out in the middle of the trench. Hey, James, how you doing, man? Because even though we would both much rather defeat the powers of hell, that doesn't mean that we won't throw down with people we consider to be heretics. You know what I mean? So the Muslims are in this game. But, okay, this is from one of the gamers. I don't think we're gaming tonight because my wife is drunk. So we took her out for her birthday to this local Mexican place that we love. And they were doing 2-for-1 margaritas made with tequila. So not wine margaritas, but like actual real tequila margaritas. And boy, oh boy, she walked out of that restaurant just tore up from the floor up. And she's out back with one of our very good friends, gossiping. And you guys know me. I love to gossip as much as the next old lady, but just not in the mood right this second. Hungar, you're only saying stuff like that because you know it is annoying and aggravating and all the other things. Team Griffith, I swear, I'll see you sooner than later. And you'll be alive the next time I see you. At least for a little while. Because you keep carrying on like that. Right? I refuse to allow my brother to be a character of such low morals. And anyone who thinks Griffin did nothing wrong deserves to get smacked right in the head. Griffin is maybe one of the worst characters in fantasy literature. Like literally, I think Griffin might be more evil than Saruman or Sauron. He might be more evil than Sauron. Another thing I've been 3D printing is these freaking palettes. And you can see I've been gluing them all together. Griffith was never cool. Griffith was an asshole from the get-go. From the get-go. Griffin was just an asshole. So, no. I hate to step in as the older brother and correct you. And I'm not trying to make you look away in front of outsiders and strangers and stuff. But don't even joke around about shit like that. Griffith. Yeah, I think Griffith is way worse than Sauron. At least Sauron kind of let you know what he was about. But Griffin was such a narcissist, and he basically didn't give a shit about anyone else on the planet but him. And he proved it. I mean, he sacrificed everyone he knew for his dream, right? This is like, what? Do you think Pippin didn't have any dreams? Pippin had dreams. Guts had dreams. Casca had dreams. Beating a dead horse. Oh, you got my goat? Why would you want to do that? First off, it's not like it's a challenge. And secondly, it's not very kind. But anyway, yes, you got my goat. It's like these people, so-and-so did nothing wrong. And it's like, really, dude? Guy snapped his fingers and destroyed literally 1/2 of all life on the planet or in the universe. And you're going to sit here and try and argue they were right? I mean, now I'll argue with the best of them that the Star Wars Imperium was a far better situation to live under than what came after it. Mainly because, I guess because I've been a government employee most of my life. And if I'd been born into the Star Wars empire, chances of me having grown up to become a member of the Imperial Army in some regard are damn near 100%, And my big argument is this: if you wanted to raise cabbages on Dagobah under the Imperium, you really didn't have anything to worry about. I mean, it's not like, you pay your taxes and you don't break the law. Okay. How's that any different than living in anywhere right now, right? But if you read any of the legacy stuff, when the actual rebellion took over, it turned into like Afghanistan with freaking just warlords running around, duking it out, like 10 different, factions, random terrorist bombings. So, Palpatine was evil, but he's so far removed from your average person that who would even care? You have no chance. Oh, well, I didn't get the Kickstarter either, homie. So there's that. I don't know if that'll make you feel any better, but I didn't get it either. The thing with me and Cadless Games is, one, Cadless Games has been acting like a bunch of jackasses, and I don't know why they would do it, but they have been. And two, I have so much Baltech stuff that I can go the rest of my life without ever buying another mech, and it wouldn't affect me at all. And that's made especially doubly easier for me since I don't play clan. I don't play anything but, 3025. So, if they release a bunch of new clan anything, they're like, hey, we're releasing all of this new clan, Fire Toad or whatever, Clan Turdburger stuff. I don't care because I ain't buying it. And they can kiss my grognardy ass about it, Now, if it makes other people super happy in their pants or whatever, I guess, okay, you do you, but does not affect me one bit. Not even a little bit, One can only own so many awesome 8Ks or, Marauders or whatever before they're like, yeah, I've got enough. I literally don't need any more of this. And I've got like all the vehicles they're putting out, I have in lead. So it's like, while it's cool that they're putting them out in plastic and at their new scale, which is larger than 6mm, that's cool. That's great and all. But as I said, I have battalions of the old Ralpartha stuff. Black powder, red earth, I have not. But if it has anything to do with like Victorian guys on Mars, I'm all in. That's one of my favorite like kind of subgenres of, I guess, Jules Verne, Huge fan of Jules Verne. Always have been, always will be. Jules Verne. Which is why I'm a huge fan of Space 1889. The problem being, I own the original one. No one wants to play it though. So it's like, all right, it's just an oddity that I own. I own the rule book and like a ton of the source books, like I own the one about the moon and the Lunites and the mountain. Martians and the Canal Martians, and I've got the Gazetteer of Mars, and you name it, I've got it. I've got the book with Venus in it, Conklin's Guide to this and that, and I'm a huge fan, but I am the only one, I think. Now we'll see, because Hungar has said when we get the game going again, he would like to play Talislanta, and my wife is cool with that too. So might be running a Talislanta campaign, which would be pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. Right now I'm gluing some... I'm using hot glue for the first layer so that I don't, melt the styrofoam with super glue. After that, I can use a little bit of super glue as long as I'm careful. But there's only going to be a couple layers. Looking at old pictures of trenches. Now, I haven't put the mud on this yet or did the stairs, but I thought I'll put the trenches on. And based on a long-running comic series, I'll put the sandbags on, and then when I put the mud on, it'll look like the first layer of sandbags is like DCC Frozen in Time Adventure has arrived. Awesome. DCC has an adventure that's actually named after a Black Sabbath song, which, I mean, I don't know. That's kind of cool, I guess. If when you were, a youngin', you were like into, Ozzy Osbourne and Sabbath and all that. That's just kind of a... Because, DCC, they pride themselves on being like the edgy D&D that your uncle played in the basement with the blue lights on and the velvet posters, and that's kind of what they're shooting for with DCC. So, yeah, we'll be doing that, and everybody's got their character made, I'm pretty sure. So, actually, I'm more than pretty sure. I know everybody's got their character made. I think one of the guys that chose to play a Jacka has not done his attribute and skill adjustments that you get when you start a brand new character, but it's not a big deal. Literally takes 5 minutes. In the game, you get the basic template of what your character will be, and then you get like 30 XP or whatever to spend to kind of help you make the character you want to play. So let's say you wanted to play a thief, but you didn't pick a thief archetype. Easy peasy. Make sure you put some points to raise your dexterity. And then when you buy your starting skills, spend all your points buying thief skills, and you'll be fine. Pick up that, thievery and lock picking or whatever, and you'll be fine. It'll be fine. You'll be okay. Or don't, and maybe you can just be like, I'm going to pick it up as I level up. I mean, being that it's a skill-based game, ultimately, you're never really locked into any particular yeah, Ronnie James Dio. Which, means at least somebody who worked on DDO had good taste in music. If only they had good taste in D&D. Because I know Hunger will disagree because he, I believe, liked 3rd edition. But, I played 3rd edition because that's what everyone wanted to play. And because I didn't want anyone touching my books. That was a big thing for me. Like, I had my old AD&D books, and I did not want anyone touching them. Otherwise, plus, 3rd edition's not terrible as long as you basically end the adventure. When the characters hit about 10th or 11th level, that's time to end that campaign. That's pretty much what I've learned about 3rd edition. Because otherwise, it's just going to get too full of itself. You know what I mean? But so I'll tell you what, I was looking at this, the Russian World War One, they have a bunch of like dudes gas masks, and it's like they're almost scarier looking than the freaking heretic legions. It's pretty crazy. But I've got the heretic legion parts sitting here. There's enough to make like, I don't know, 20 heretic legionnaires. I just have to print up the Canadian bodies. Yeah, your character's the mage outcast, which means combination of magic and thief/assassin type skills. So, yeah. A very lethal game. Nice. Yeah, I kind of got sucked into Trench Crusade, mainly by the art, honestly. The whole, and of course, I went for the good guys, which are, in my opinion at least, the Trench Pilgrims. They are definitely the good guys. They're the guys that have been chosen by the saints or whatever to march into the war zone and duke it out with the forces of hell. I dig that. And even though the game is really, really based around the Levant area, so Syria, southern Turkey, that whole thing, my warband might be more interested in the Balkans because one of the demon lords has supposedly his forces is taking control of Constantinople. And, I can't have that. So, since in this timeline, Russia never become communist, Imperial Russia never fell, you have all these saints and prophets from Imperial Russia on the move to, at least in my headcanon, liberate Constantinople from the forces of hell. And they have the Muslims in the game, but what's crazy is, first off, the guy who does all the art, I saw him in an interview, and he's got a giant crucifix on the wall behind him. And two, so he's some kind of Roman Catholic or something. I don't know. Maybe an Anglican. Who knows? But the other thing is that one of the big things that represents the Muslims, one of their main units is called the Brazen Bull. And I don't know if they did it on purpose, but the Muslims in this game are doing a lot of stuff that, I mean, you would consider to be not really good stuff to be doing, you know? Like if one of the beasts you make to prosecute your war is literally a giant golden armored bull creature, it's like, I'm wondering what side those guys are actually on because, I mean, a golden bull, really? But that's their whole thing is they use their alchemy to make monsters, which is honestly not much difference than the forces of hell. But so, anywho, yeah, I'm only making like a little area for this, so all of this terrain will fit in like a box, and I'll be able to store it in here. I'm getting ready to do a whole. I might do another next time Hungar comes down, another game amnesty, where I just let Hungar dig through my cabinets and take whatever games he wants. I did that once before. Might be time to do it again, But yeah, got rid of a lot of games too. I mean, none that I get really had any intention of ever playing or anything. So, all good and hood. Hungar can give them to his juggalo ex-wife. And they can hang out and play whatever game they want with Crunk Thug Nuts and the rest of the crew. The Midnight Carnivore or whatever they call it. Bunch of... I needed to quit being such a judgmental prick. She's actually a really good person. She's just a juggalette. And it's like, I shouldn't judge her for that. She can't help it. She's probably dropped on her head as a youth. So like every time I meet her, I want to ask her how magnets work. But yeah. Tell my brother, hey, any games you see here, just let me know. If you want them, they're yours. If you want to give them away to your ex-wife, do it. Because I am done with them. Not even, Games I won't be getting rid of. AD&D, OSE, MERPS, Coriolis. Yeah, that's probably it. I'll probably get rid of everything else if he wants it. And my garage is so full of minis, I need to either give them to Haas or throw them away. You know what I mean? You guys got real quiet all of a sudden. Why are you so quiet? Yeah, Hungar decided he wants to play Heretic Legion. One of the Heretic Legions you can play is called the Ghosts of No Man's Land. And the basic lore of these guys is if a heretic dies and he's too far away, how's it go? If a heretic dies in the presence of Holy Land or a holy artifact, then their soul cannot go to hell. However, heaven ain't going to take it. So, in that instance, their souls become trapped in no man's land. And because they're basically undead without the ability to ascend or descend to heaven or hell, they come back as pretty much hate-filled undead that hate everything and everyone. And then they just run around attacking anyone they encounter in no man's land. Even other heretics. It does not matter. They attack everything. And they really want to die, but of course they can't because of the situation they're in. I mean, pretty dark stuff, I admit. One thing about this game is it is definitely an edgy boy game. This is edgy boy bullshit. Like, if people thought that Warhammer 40K was edgy, nah, this is way edgier. They get on with all kinds of stuff, you know what I mean? But there's something about it that is appealing to me, at least a little bit. I think it's mostly just making a trench army made up of Orthodox people who are going to try to defeat evil, I like the idea of that. Destroy the servants of hell, which apparently are all mortal because there's a compact between heaven and hell that none of the actual full-blown demons can actually physically enter the earth. But you see how these are coming out. But they can possess animals and they can, or people, and they can also create abominations. Hey, Shadow, how you doing, homie? What is up with you, bro? The link's up there if any of you wanted it, and if it's too far up there, I'll redo it. Well, in this game, what he's actually going to be playing is a Cimmerillion mage outcast. And because he's Cimmerillion, he automatically starts with knowledge of a couple of schools of magic. And because he's an outcast, he gets a huge selection of skills he can choose between. A few of which involve stealth, picking locks, sneaking, assassinating people, etc. So his character is going to start with whatever school of magic he chooses because, like my wife's playing a Cimmerillion sword wizard, so she took aeromancy. She become an elementalist and then focused on air magic. Hungar will have to pick whether he wants to be an elementalist or some other kind of mage. In Talislanta, there are about 20 types of mage. So, What's up, homie?
What's happening, man?
You got some lag.
Tell me about it. Wow.
But I don't care. Not much. Just doing some crafting. Tucked the wife out, so now she's out on the back porch drunk. our favorite Cuban slash Mexican restaurant was having buy one get one margaritas, and they don't use, like, you know how some people make their margaritas with wine. These guys make their margaritas with tequila.
Yeah, I've only had them with tequila.
Yeah, I've seen some restaurants, like if they don't have a liquor license, they'll try to get around it by uh, serving wine because they might have a beer and wine license, but that doesn't mean that they're allowed to sell hard liquor.
You mentioned crafting. What are you crafting?
I am putting some sandbags on a section of bunker. I also need to glue the, between the tin sheets.
I got a craft I'm trying to get the boy involved in. Check this out.
Wow. Is that rock candy or are you just growing?
They're just I bought them. I wish I could grow them. They're just quartz crystals. I don't know if they're dyed or uh, they naturally come green. But I've got some other colors as well. We're just gonna make some good old fashioned scattered terrain.
That's really cool.
They're not that expensive. I get them from Hobby Lobby when they're on sale, which makes them 40% off of the 10 to 12.99 a strand. And there's a good dozen or so pieces.
Yeah, and you only need like
Three.
a few pieces for each little
Mm-hmm.
crystal section.
Yep, just that random thing to break up the terrain, whether it's for a battlefield or inside a dungeon. Maybe they're magical, psionic, or what have you. But
Well, I might need to do that because one of the characters in the Taos Atlanta game is a gnomekin, and they live underground in the kingdom of Dern, and they have magic users, but their magic users, their whole deal is crystalmancy. They have the ability to modify, change, grow, whatever crystals. So, like if they've got a pocket full of crystals and they need a crystal wall, they can actually throw crystals on the ground and use their magic to make them grow, and
nice.
stuff like that. It's the
Are
only
you gonna
magic
pull?
they got. So,
Are you gonna pull any of the old Land of the Lost tricks with them? Remember Enoch and that table he had with the crystals to open up the portals, and if they
yeah,
would take
you had
two
to put the
crystals,
right crystals in the holes and it would communicate.
or take the two crystals together, and they would start charging up, and then kablooey.
Land of the Lost, man.
I love that show.
That was a good one. That
It was
was a good one.
so simple, but just by adding the Slee Stack and Enoch, just took it in a completely unique direction. They could have just dealt with Chaka and the dinosaurs for the whole show, but throwing in the Slee Stack really gave it, uh, you know, like I said, its own uniqueness and something to be even more afraid of than the dinosaurs.
Or if
They
that's
always
where
seem
David Icke got his ideas.
maybe he's about our age. If he grew up not seeing that, I'd be surprised.
He was watching Land of the Lost, and all of a sudden he's like, "That's it,
Eureka!
Serpent Men."
Yep, lizard people. Sure, sure. So I'm
And
gonna be doing that. I was working on my dungeon for this evening's game. Uh,
yeah, you're playing AD&D tonight, right?
you betcha, you betcha. Still love it after all these years, man. I
Well,
see
yeah,
all these. I see all these other, clones of what was the best. It just, tightening it up. The layout and things like that. All it ever did, in my opinion, my humble opinion, was take out some of the best stuff. Not being the mistakes, but some of the things that, you know, made it, really unique. The way the Ranger was sort of morphed into, a more powerful Aragorn. The way the Paladin, would later on morph into, damn near a priest, a serious warrior priest with some magic behind his ass, and the assassin. We were talking with Hungar. I love the old assassin class. Not so much as a player character, but as a ready template for bad guys that would constantly be, stalking the party.
Well, the thing is with like Taslanta is it has an alignment system, but the alignment system is a lot less about good and evil and a lot more about just your basic morality. Except your basic morality is based on the culture you come from.
Hmm.
So if you come from a culture and you choose your alignment to be true believer, that means your character worships all the gods your culture does, believes in all the things your culture believes in. He is down with it, right? But then you could also choose to be amoral, which means you just don't care, or you could choose to be, kind of a renegade. You don't, really give a damn about what people in your culture do. And, there's multiple alignments like that where it's just like, hey, nerdy ogre. So, yeah, it's not quite so cut and dried as my character is good because
Good could kind of have a different meaning in different
it
places.
can have a different meaning depending on the culture of the character,
Mhm.
you know?
Right.
Like, and then, of course, some characters are just straight up assholes. That is an option. You can be a bad person, regardless of your culture. You can choose to just be a bad person.
That's kind of most games kind of have that option. Some don't. There's some that are more hero oriented, and there's some that's more scoundrel oriented.
Yeah, I think the big thing with Taslanta is because there's so many cultures
Hmm.
that it's just like,
Did you ever get a chance to read any of the Petal Throne?
yeah, I have them all.
Oh, you do.
Yeah.
Hey, gents.
Hey,
How's it
what's
And
going?
up, Doc? Long time no see, man. Where you been?
Hang on, mic is on. Uh, Working on the silly game, working entirely too much at my job, which I may burn down to the ground sometime later in the month. I'm still
there's been a lot
contemplating
of
that.
that going on. So I
There
don't
Yeah,
has,
know.
they really don't
especially
want
with
us.
food processing. That's like a
They
thing.
really don't want us eating chickens, do they? I'm getting tired of that.
Uh, oh my God, I've worked like every Saturday for like 2 months, and I want to just like murder these people.
Don't do that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
don't
know.
do that.
Just take it out on the chickens.
That's true. Although you actually get in a lot of trouble if they catch you being mean to the chickens.
I was just teasing. I
I,
would
I would say that you
just
would. I
just
mean,
eat a lot of them. Just have a whole month of nothing but chicken.
So I just make fun of the chickens. I mock them.
like,
Uh, so what's going
I
on
get
with you
to eat the
boys?
chicken.
Just chilling like a villain, and I thought I'd say hi to James. I haven't seen him in a while. I too have been incredibly busy writing and uh, trying to stay warm. We're actually going to get snow tomorrow here in California. Can you believe that?
Yep.
And I'm in the
Uh,
desert. I'm in the high desert. I
Yep.
mean, we technically already have snow like a mile away, and I mean, literally, I could take a 22 and hit snow.
Right.
And they'd probably get real upset with me if I started shooting at the snow, but
Damn you,
Well,
snow!
I'm not a fan.
Pensacola got bushwhacked.
I
Yeah, they
saw
got
that.
like something like 7 inches or something crazy
That
like
Yeah.
that.
was that
My
was
my niece lives up there, and she took a picture of her and her new baby out, walking around in the snow, and it was just
hey,
like,
what's up, Dean? Yeah,
Dean,
you
how
can
you
pretty
doing?
much uh, tell all those climate Nazis that there's no such thing as global warming. You and me both. If this is warm, I'd hate to see what cold is.
It's called the weather.
I know, I know. We
It's
should
like
get
every
all of
time
them.
I talk to these people, it's like, so you're saying the temperature has went up like 2 degrees in the last couple hundred years? Yeah, Earth has been doing that for 4.2
Yeah.
billion years. This is not new. And there's no guarantee if we were to stop all technological everything right now, that would have any effect on anything.
Yeah. The
Not
other
not
thing
with not
is,
with it.
it's we're basically at a neutral state now. The carbon isn't going up. Like the Western countries, it's all been dropping down.
Right.
It's all coming basically from China and India now, and they're raising their populations out of poverty, which will do better for this in the long run anyway. It's not
In the
until
long
people
run, yeah.
have their needs taken care of that they give a rat's ass about the environment.
You know, I was thinking though, I'm a huge John Carter fan. You guys know that,
Uh,
and I was
We
thinking,
were
you know,
just talking about that.
I must have missed that. You know, if the world were to get hotter to the point where everybody had to dress like that, I'd see that as a bonus. You
Everybody's
know what I'm
running around
saying?
dressed like the
yeah.
princess.
And the
Well, I'm
thing
not
is,
going
if
to dress like the princess, but you
you,
know, the way the men dress would be fine. You know, because let's face it, every one of us would drop about 10, 20% of our fat or more. You know, we'd be looking all ripped. The women would be looking
Okay,
the way they're supposed
I
to,
was about
right?
to say, what about all the fatty people?
Yeah, cows for centuries, and suddenly it's a problem. Yeah, billions of freaking bison running across the plains
What's up, Jose?
since forever, and now it's like you ever notice too when they want to talk about cow farts, they never mention bison.
Oh
And right
God, no,
now,
because
and
they're
I know you live
endangered.
in California in the desert, right? But if
Yep.
you go out to Wyoming and places like that, them bastards are everywhere.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And they're
So it's
endangered.
like
I
I
wonder how
guess
they taste.
bison farts don't bother anything, but cattle farts do.
I think we should turn it around on them and just hit them with leftist farts. Why don't you start with yourself? Because it's
I mean,
coming out
all
of both ends.
Hey, I was watching what's his name? Bill Maher, who like a broken clock is right about twice a day.
Yeah, I heard that line about him recently.
Yeah, and
I
he
don't
was
believe it.
arguing with some conservative woman, like a congressman, like Bobek or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And she laughed right in his face and said, "It doesn't matter because we're going to outbreed you,
Oh, I've
and
been
in a
saying that
couple
for so
generations,
long.
we won't even exist."
I've been saying that for about 10 years now. It's like keep doing what you're doing. Pretty soon it'll be all about us and uh, you guys can tolerate the fuck off.
well,
So,
the thing is, they're
so
aware
Dean,
of that. That's why they made a point of capturing the educational system
right?
first.
yeah.
And
Dean,
and
how have
and
you been? I haven't seen you in a while. Have you been okay?
Uh, yes, that's the long version of it. Short version, I mean, and the long version is you're always welcome to message me, James.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I barely message my wife, to be honest. It's like I'm terrible about that. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? I'm one of those guys that if you're not directly in front of me, sometimes I forget you exist.
Ah,
no,
Yeah.
except for
I
like,
don't do that.
except for that friend of yours who apparently changed number and you got like the wrong one and kept sending messages to him.
Yeah, my buddy Brian that moved up to Virginia and I had the wrong number and I just kept sending pictures of everything I was painting. And finally the person's like, "Who is this?" I'm like, "Who is this?" And it was not my friend. I was like, huh. But they didn't tell me to stop. They just wanted to know who I was. They're like,
That's
I mean,
cool.
I mean, it's not the worst pictures you can send them. So,
yeah, I
Right,
just send
right.
them pictures of like Blood Angel Space Marines. I'll paint it up and kit it up and various things that I've been 3D printing, which I've started 3D printing again, but only because I
You
needed
can.
basically parts for terrain. So like all these little freaking sandbags and stuff.
yeah.
And but I haven't really been. I printed up my Trench Crusade Army, but that's 10 figures.
Mm.
Um, but I have been painting up. I don't know if you've been watching my videos. I have painted up a complete 50-point Greyjoy army for the Song of
Ice and Fire.
Ice and Fire war game,
Okay.
led by Victarion, who, unless you read the books, you'll have no idea who that is.
I
It's okay. I
literally have
didn't
no
even
idea.
see the show.
Yeah,
That's
Victarion was
all I
cut
know is that
from
it's
the
from that
show, but
show.
he was actually in the books very, very important. But look at this guy. I don't know if you recognize him, but
No,
Richard the
we'll look at-
Lionheart.
no.
Oh wait, he
Yellow
uses red,
with
not
3
yellow.
black dogs on it. That is the mountain,
Ah,
Gregor Clegane. And in this game, he can lead a unit, but then you have, I haven't started painting him yet, the mountain that rides, Gregor Clegane on horseback, and he counts as his own unit. Because, it's the mountain that rides.
yeah.
So, what are you going to do? I just found out that Dark Sword Miniatures, they're the ones that make all of the human/dog miniatures I bought painted up a long time ago. They
Hey,
also
James.
make
Yes.
all the figures for Song of Ice and Fire. So I got the metal collector's Victarion, and I'm working him up. I'm doing it in reverse. I painted him dark metallic, and I'm gonna highlight him up to a silver.
What are they making the metals out of these days?
It's white metal, so basically like pewter.
Tin
Yeah, it's like tin and
and antimony, I think, and
stuff.
yeah. Hey,
But
James. Speaking of metal miniatures, I recently went through the Reaper catalog, and except for a few of the bigger monsters, I have like almost everything they've ever made, or at least everything that I
that's
care about.
impressive because they make a lot of shit.
Right. Well, this has been over, a 20-year, more than 30 years of collecting miniatures from Reaper, I should say, and I'm an old guy, so I like old stuff. So I like metal. Can you recommend me a good company for, you know, non, setting specific fantasy, sci-fi, minis? I've looked at North Star and
Dark
I picked
Sword.
everything. What?
Dark Sword.
Dark Sword? I'm gonna write it down.
Not only
Because
do they make miniatures if you wanted to play Pugmire or something like that,
oh,
they make,
really?
they make a Song of Ice and Fire miniatures, and then they have their own fantasy range.
Mhm.
And the negative is that the miniatures are kind of expensive because they're metal, and they're the ones that do the what's his name? Not Aerotis, the other one that lives in Kentucky that I always forget. Elmore. They
Oh,
do the
really?
Larry Elmore collection, which is all
Okay.
of like miniatures based on
His
his
artwork.
paintings that were on like
So
Dragon
you
magazine.
said Dark Sword?
Yeah, it's either Dark Sword or Black Sword. Hey Raven, how you doing? How you doing? Good to
Hey,
see you
Raven.
still kicking.
I tried calling you earlier, but you didn't answer.
Well, she might have been out in the shed brewing up a potion or something.
Probably wrangling cats.
Yep, Raven, I have been watching a show on YouTube called Appalachian Storyteller, and he has episodes about all the supernatural shit in Appalachia, and it's pretty wild. Like a lot of the stories take place in Harlan County too, which is, near Pikesville and all that. So East Kentucky. And they talk about like moon-eyed people and lizard people and creatures that come out of mines at night and dogmen and Bigfoot, but he's not called Bigfoot. He's called Big Hairy Man or some shit like that. Because that's what his name translated from Cherokee to English literally meant, the Big Hairy Man. Because a lot of
Fair.
us, you must have
Nope.
caught the other Raven, she says.
Yeah, that's never going to happen.
But anyway, yeah, because the Cherokee are the ones that told the first white people a lot of these stories. And so in Virginia, what some people like to refer to as West Virginia, damn their eyes, and Eastern Kentucky, you have these stories that were passed down from the Cherokee to the first white people that ever stepped foot there. And we're talking a long time ago because my first relative arrived in Eastern Kentucky in 1740. So, which is why when people like make that argument, we're all immigrants. I'm always like, I'm not.
Yeah, I just wonder, like, so most of the most of the pioneering. I was about to say immigration because you said the word, but most of the pioneering came from like of North America came from like people from France and like England. So
Europe, Europe, in Kentucky, a lot of Scots Irish.
yeah, I just wonder, like, if it was more Central and Northern Europe, how many would hear the story of like the Bigfoot and think they're talking about the wild man,
Um,
which is a
I don't know because when I
European.
did my genetics, I am a lot Dane, Norwegian, and Scandinavian. Caregiving is exhausting. Yeah, I know that it is, Jose. I used to have to do it, but not like you.
Same here.
And yeah, it sucks, man. You just gotta hang in there. Remember, you do it for love. But the reason I say I'm not an immigrant is because my people were in this country on both sides before this country existed.
Yeah.
So how can I be an immigrant if I was here before America? You
I mean,
know?
that's also why a lot of my American friends who like are either from the Civil War before it are very annoyed when people say we and us and our.
Well, yeah, it's like now I know my family fought in the Civil War, but my wife's family, which is almost all Danish, they weren't in America until like a couple of generations ago, maybe.
Yeah.
And they had nothing to do with Civil War. So, it's like they're like, we weren't even in the country. We were still in Denmark
Yeah.
doing whatever Denmark people were up to back then. I don't know.
Mostly
It
being
was 18
farmers
something,
and
probably fighting the Prussians.
the Prussian that was 1864, and that was the Second Prussian War, the one we lost.
Well, 1864 is pretty much about when our Civil War ended. So, and it wasn't your fault. The Prussians just had a shit ton of artillery.
Oh yeah, and also this time the English didn't care.
Yeah. But I am mostly, of all of my Scandinavian blood, mostly Norwegian.
Yeah.
But I think that all comes from my Irish side because, we all know what went on in Ireland with the Vikings. So,
Yeah. And then there's also the fact that while genetic testing you can find out a lot, there's also the issue that a lot of European markers look the same. Like an example is the Anglo-Saxons and the Danes, and the
right.
modern Dane. The only way you can tell difference between them is geographic context. So if you test someone over there who's an Anglo-Saxon, this obviously not a Dane. But if you just gave the both genetic result, you'll think it was a modern Dane.
Well, I mean, if you look at an ancient map, you would notice that Saxony is almost bordering Denmark, isn't it?
Yes, Saxony is basically some of northern Germany and central Germany.
Right.
Hey, James.
So, what's
Hey,
up,
James.
homie?
Raven's inviting you to her show, her radio show in February. To talk about.
Sure. Let me know.
It's Wednesday evenings.
Okay. Yeah, Raven is like I don't believe Raven is as woo woo as maybe Bear does, but at the
Oh
same
no, she's
time,
more.
I don't believe in a lot of the metaphysical stuff. So I believe Bigfoot is absolutely a possibility, 100%. I don't believe he comes from another dimension or he's an alien. I think he's probably some kind of hominid that lives way up in the taiga, and we just ain't ever found him. Because have you ever seen the taiga?
Not
Yes,
personally.
I seen a tiger.
Taiga.
Oh, sorry.
The
What is
taiga
that?
is all the heavy coniferous wood around
Yeah,
the northern hemisphere.
yeah. The only
You get in
reason
there,
a
you could
forest
be
exists
gone
there is
forever.
because of the pine trees. Yeah,
It'd be like northern Finland and Scandinavia all the way through to Russia and all the way around through to Canada and Alaska. Yeah, get up in there, man. You don't know what's in there. And then me, I come from a state that has caves every 10 feet. You don't know what's in a cave. Could be anything in a cave. You know
I
what I
mean,
mean?
I
It's
mean
like,
the people who goes missing, what do you call it, in national parks, it very much overlays with that cape map that people have.
well, let's say, and the odds of this are like winning the lottery or losing the lottery. You could be walking through a holler in Kentucky with a lot of leaf fawn stuff and fall right down a sinkhole into a
Yeah,
cave. And that cave could be, 50 feet, 100 feet, who knows, right? So you're going to die and no one will ever find you
yeah.
because it's like, and if you die, the coyotes will drag your bones like 5 miles in every direction, So again, if you were walking through a holler and had a heart attack and dropped dead, by the time they knew to send anyone out, the wildlife would have already pulled you into little bits. Oh, I believe there's probably tons of evidence. I am like Fox Mulder, I believe. It's just I have questions about exactly what we're talking about. And I tend to go the more materialist route, which is some kind of big ass ape, hominid, maybe something from, pre Ice Age. Who knows? I know the Choctaw Indians had a war with a bunch of Bigfoots back in 18 something. Uh, like,
Sure, there wasn't the red giants.
oh, that's way before the red-headed giants. That's way
Okay.
before Bigfoots. But yeah, the Choctaw Indians had a whole war with Bigfoots. The Bigfoots were stealing children and women and eating them. So the Choctaw warriors had to go and confront them. And a lot of the warriors, well, at least 2 or 3 got killed before they put them down. And it was musket against gigantic stinky ape thing. And then they found like the bones of all the people that had been taken. Like there were no survivors.
Yeah. Meanwhile, all those not animal, supernatural creatures in Denmark are like, oh, it's trolls, it's gnomes. I mean, they're still vicious, but there's not a lot to pick from. Oh wait, and then there's also Nukken, which is the naked man who sits with a violin and lure people into the lake.
Well, I mean, because ancient Germanic and Celtic people and Slavic people, they all had this tendency to believe that hell was like the ocean. And they all had this like weird fear of deep water. And like with Slavic myth, that's why you get the Voidene and Rusalka. And if you go near any, it's like every pond could have an evil spirit in it waiting to drown your ass.
Oh yes,
I mean,
oh yeah. Speaking of Slavs,
if you have heard it not
James,
follow any of the Eldner. Huh?
do you know about the what's it? Oh yeah, Noon. I don't remember if it's Noon syndrome or something simping or something like that. But basically, instead of the witching hour, it's basically happens at noon.
Noon rates.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, noon rates. That's a Slavic thing. They'll appear at noon on a sunny day in the middle of a wheat field, and then they'll kill you.
Yeah.
Because that's what noon rates do. They have another kind of creature, Slavic mythology. From the front, it looks beautiful, but if you ever look at them from behind, you notice they're hollowed out.
Ah,
So you're only looking at like the shell of their front
yeah.
because
I
the
mean, we
back
have
is just,
those two. It's just it's not necessarily evil, but it's basically a variation of a dryad.
yep. Well, I mean, even the Rusalka or Rusalki, depending on which part of the Slavic countries you're standing in, it's either a river spirit or the spirit of a woman who died in the river.
Hmm.
It really just depends. And a lot of our Slavic mythology, I mean, is kind of similar to Norse mythology because, I mean, the original Kievan Rus were actually Norsemen
Yeah.
that kind of entered whatever with the Slavs and created this crazy ass, like Perun, who is not Thor. A lot of people want to say Perun is Thor, but he not Thor at all. No, totally different. But he is the god of thunder. He's also the god of like 50 things.
I
So
thought that was Gene Simmons.
Gene Simmons, he's the god of rock and roll. Nyx is an elemental white horse. Yeah, Nyx, that will drown you. See, Ireland's full of stuff like that. Puka, Nixie. Uh, if you're Scottish, you got the Knuckleavee. No, I think that's Irish.
That's the Nucleavy is was
The Isle
originally
of Man
Norse,
or
but it's
some
like
shit.
Orkney Islands too.
Yeah.
Like
It's like the Irish literally believe that the ocean was hell. Like it was like the worst thing ever, and all the most horrible shit came from the ocean. Like when they even talk about the Age of Heroes, when they're fighting Baelor and the Fomorian kings, they all come from the ocean. You know what I mean? It's like James Cameron would love a Nyx to visit. Well, yeah, but they look like either a beautiful Kelpie, they look like a beautiful woman or a horse, and they try to lure you into the water, and if it's a horse, it'll let you get on its back, but when you get on its back, you can't get off. You stick to it, and then it dives into the ocean and pulls you down and drowns and eats you. But if it's in the form of a woman, it does the same thing, except when you get close to her, her hair wraps around you, and then down you go.
Yeah, I actually have how should we say, a strong memory from like I don't remember what the movie was, but it basically they could maybe it's like the Grimm brothers or something, but like they interview a guy who likes missing a hand, and his best boy was basically what do you call it? His brother, what do you call it? They climbed on top of the horse, and he petted it, and yeah, he also stuck to the horse with his hand, and he had to cut it off.
Or else get drugged to the bottom and ate.
Yeah,
And then in some places in Ireland and the islands, you have Selkie, and Selkie are basically like were sills, except how they work is if they take their sill skin off, they become beautiful women. So the story is that Irish men might see a beautiful woman naked on a beach, and if you look around, you might find where she hid the sealskin. And as long as you don't give it to her and hide it from her, then she's forced to be your wife. But if she ever gets her hands on the sealskin again, she'll will immediately run back to the ocean and put it on and be a seal.
yeah, and then there is different what do you call it? Interpretation what she does with her children.
Yeah. Yeah.
The more optimistic one, she just ignore the husband and occasionally visits the children. The other
Right.
interpretation, she goes the hamster method.
Yeah. I like the more optimistic method,
Yeah,
but then again, the fact that I don't know, I guess if somebody hid my skin and forced me to marry them, I'd be pretty angry.
yeah, it's a little bit of a turnoff.
yeah,
I'd be pretty mad about that. I'd be like, you didn't wine me or dine me. You didn't buy me flowers. You didn't call me beautiful. You just basically said, hey, I've got something that belongs to you. And if you don't marry me and have my children, I'll never give it back.
Hey, James, the next time your wife asks if you still love her if she was a worm, there you go. Would you still love me if I took your skin and forced you to marry me?
Huh. I don't know. I mean, if she took my skin, no, of course not. I would constantly be looking for a way to get away. But so does Silky. That's what they do. They're always looking for some way to get away.
Yeah.
But you know, H.P. Lovecraft actually wrote a book about the Knuckleby. One of his short stories is about the Knuckleby.
Hmm.
And another one of his short stories called The High House in the Mist is about the Irish god of the ocean, Noldens, who exists in the Lovecraftian mythos. As a matter of fact,
Yes.
all of the ancient gods that we think of exist in the Lovecraft mythos. They just live in the dreamlands where they're held prisoner by Nyarlathotep. But Zeus and all those, yeah, they exist.
So basically, he was the precursor of everything sucks in 40K.
Well, that's the whole thing with horror based on cosmicism. Is the thing that makes it supposedly scary is when you realize as a human that your existence is absolutely meaningless and that there are beings in the universe so much bigger and more powerful than you and that they don't even think about you. Like if one of them stepped on your town and completely erased it and killed everyone in it, they wouldn't think any more of it than had you stepped on a bug. And that's what makes cosmic horror, you know?
Yeah.
Like the only
That's it in a nutshell.
yeah, really the only one of the great old ones that actually gives a shit about humanity and it's not a good thing is Nyarlathotep.
Right.
And he pays attention to humans only because he's a malicious bastard and he likes to torment and lead humans into really bad situations. Plus, he's also one of the great old ones most associated with like witches. You know what I mean?
You need a like the Herald of Hastur.
He is somehow connected to Azathoth.
Really, I thought it was Hastur for some reason.
Hastar is the king in yellow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've got him.
Hastar is
Where'd I put him?
Azathoth's brother, and
Oh, he's over here. Hold
Hastar
on.
and Shub-Niggurath are Cthulhu's parents. And no one really knows what Shub-Niggurath looks like, except that she is called the goat in the woods with 1,000 young. Damn. Yep, that's the king in yellow.
I made
You're never actually supposed to say the name.
right. Hastur, he whose copy
In the
name.
mythos, if you say his name, you have a percentage chance of actually drawing his attention to you.
I made this all out of. This is just wire, dry baby wipes, and a little bit of clay.
That is really cool. Look at you.
We made this like 2 years ago, and it just, believe it or not, it actually glows in the dark as well. I threw some glow in the dark paint on it because
Were you
why
looking
not?
to play some freaking Call of Cthulhu and just scare the shit out of somebody?
That'll do it. That'll do it.
Throw a damn big ass king in yellow on the table in front of them. Be like, deal with it. See, I've got my king in yellow, but he's little. And I've actually got two different miniatures. I've got the one where it's like he looks like that, what you have.
Mhm.
And I have the other one where he's like just all tentacles everywhere.
I've got a couple more from Cthulhu Wars. You ever get a chance to play that, guys?
What is that? A strategic game?
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
literally
like Risk, except great old ones.
right. You're playing one of the great old ones, and you're taking over the world.
Yep.
And it's got, oh my god, it's got so many expand. I literally got everything for it. I've yet to play it. I literally
Sandy
bought.
Peterson put it out.
Yeah, it was all Kickstarter. I've got literally everything they ever made for it. It's 2 to 10 players. There's all kinds of other great old ones you can play: Cthulhu, Shub Niggurath, etc. And I can't find anybody to play it, and I also don't have an entire afternoon to play it.
Ah,
In the um
I mean, it says you could play it in 2 hours, and I'm like, yeah, right. Have
in
you met
the
gamers? No.
adventure type setting I'm writing, the
Mhm.
main bad guy is the BBG, as they say, or whatever,
Mhm.
is Shub Niggurath. And the game is set in Harlan County, Kentucky. And
Cool.
it involves inbred cults that have been there for hundreds of years, and cannibalism. And so
Human
basically it's like the
sacrifice,
hills have
dogs and
eyes.
cats living together.
Mass
It's like the
hysteria.
hills have eyes, but
have a good one, Raven.
I'll
see
talk to
you,
you later,
Raven.
Raven.
Later,
You
Evan.
joining us for the game tonight, Raven?
And James
Yes.
and rest of you. So I know that's how Cosmic Core works. To take a little back to there, but recently I forgot what it was from. But I actually read a story where or maybe it was like from a comic, but basically people who took the things beyond my comprehension as a challenge and tried to understand it, and then it ended up with as a story like what happens when technology goes too far, especially when people think I have to do it or someone else would do it, and then they ended up in an autocratic technocracy where they basically what do you call it, either slew or rewrote every supernatural monster on Earth. Basically, super Nazis, because that's the old framework everyone goes to. But yeah, but
That
they
sounds like
apparently, but from
Humanity Lost.
it could be, but from what I understand, there was more like a what if scenario, and the heroes prevented that.
Ah. Yeah, in Humanity Lost, humans get into a war with a bunch of aliens, and we're not doing so great. So they decide to go ahead and let the AI take over. And the AI takes over all the human governments and immediately starts genetically engineering super soldiers and shit.
Hmm.
And so by the time anyone realizes what's going on, it's too late to stop it. And the soldiers don't even look human. They're like, armored and with built-in guns, and then
Yeah.
what the AI does is that every world it conquers, it turns into what it calls a womb world, which is just another world that does nothing but creates more soldiers. And then the main protagonist of this is like a human astronaut that had been on like a long range something, and he wakes up and his spaceship's falling apart and he's the last human because
Uh,
every other human in the galaxy has been altered by this AI. And
Sounds like a similar story, just less mythos and more genetic manipulation.
yeah, this one, it's not so much mythos, it's more genetic manipulation. Uh, and of course, the humans, once they put the AI online, they just start wrecking the alien alliance, you know, and they just take over world after world, turning them all into womb worlds. And so every world the humans conquer, the humans get stronger. But again, they don't look human. They look more like some kind of four-limbed insectoid thing. And the starships that land them on planets to fight wars, they're biological. And so it's like, it's really crazy. And basically, the last human, like we are, starts working with the aliens to try and figure out a way to stop it.
Yeah.
But one of the things that the AI decided when we gave it complete and total control is that we didn't require intelligence or decision making abilities. So it started breeding that out of us, with cloning and stuff like that. So
Is
the
this something you're
soldiers
writing?
were really good at being soldiers, but they had no actual free will. You know
Is
what
this
I mean?
something? Is this something you're writing?
No, I wish. It's an online comic book
Oh, really?
called, yeah, Humanity Lost or something like that. And it's basically we land on a world. There's some aliens that they're smart, but they're not technological. So we decide to bully them around a little bit. And then other aliens show up and they're like, you can't do that. And a war starts, and the other aliens are beating us. And then when the governments of Earth realize that they're going to lose, they let the big AI thing take over.
Jose, I agree 100%, bro. A lot of hype, a lot of fear, a lot of wishful thinking.
Well, I
On the
mean,
part of
in
sane people.
Dune, it wasn't the AI that caused the problems. It was a person that took control of the AI and then used it to take over everything. So, yeah, it wasn't the actual computers that were ruining everything. It was some human being. And then, yeah. And that's when you get the Butlerian jihad,
Yep.
where they destroy every machine. And again, it's not to protect humanity from the machines, it's to protect humanity from the people who might control the machines. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
Hmm.
here's the weird thing about AI is AI can only know what we tell it to know. Because
Hmm.
I mean, it's going to go through our history, it's going to look at all the information, and then it's going to extrapolate things based on that.
Yeah,
But
all it's got going for it is speed.
yeah, now will it help with diseases? Yes.
Sure, bring it on.
Like there's blood tests that you could do where they can look at through your blood to tell if you have cancer markers and where they might be, but it would take weeks and weeks and weeks for them to do it. But if you have AI programmed to do it, they could do it like in minutes.
Yeah,
So
I was explaining to Raven. Just look how like when you do your typical search right on the internet for pick something really random, like just crazy random, even a string of weird words, and then when you hit enter, how fast it comes up with all of that in a blink of an eye. Whatever you search for, well, with what we call AI, it's doing all of that even faster,
that's all it is.
exponentially faster.
That's all it is.
Hmm.
I don't know
Just
if it, though, I am not positive, and maybe this is something Raven might want to talk to me about, but I'm not positive that actual artificial intelligence is even possible.
yeah, that's what Jose was saying. It's not really possible because of the way uh, uh, neuron networks work. It's never going to have that.
Yeah, Jose, I don't think there are aliens.
Nor do I.
I
Lots of
think
demons.
Fermi was right
Lots
when
of demons, just no aliens.
when he came up with the Fermi paradox. I think he was right. So,
Hey guys, I
you
gotta
know,
go. Family's back from uh, doing stuff, so I gotta do family stuff
okay,
before my game. It was great chatting with you guys. I
it's
will
good
see you
chatting
guys
with you,
soon.
man.
Hopefully, hey James. Also want to extend the invite to do a one-on-one with you on my show because I don't know if you saw every year we give out the awards for our favorite YouTubers, and of course 2 years running, you get the same award. I'm working on getting you your little trophy, your little Oscar of Conan holding up the D20 um, through some fellow YouTubers and 3D printers. But I'd like to have you on the show, just you and me. It's been too long. What do you say?
I say you just gotta let me know when.
All right, probably on a Monday. I'm gonna.
Well, if it's during when I normally do my Monday show, then that would be even better because I'll just go on your show.
Okay, all right. We'll work. You know where to get a hold of me, and vice versa. Take care,
And,
brothers.
and Shadow,
Later, Shadow.
if you're giving it to James, shouldn't it be Hungar instead of Conan?
You know what? That's not a bad idea. I'll see if we can work that out with nerds because I've got the Hungar statue. Wait a minute. Where's it? Oh, right here.
There's Hungar painted up like a fire giant.
This is the one Jackie did. But yeah,
It looks good.
if nerds could repose it where he's holding up a D20, we'll do that. Hungar's got one coming his way too.
I've got the giant one, the human-sized one, and the dwarf one.
Yep, I've got the little one here
that I printed out so that if he ever wanted to play that miniature as a dwarf in the D&D game,
that's
great. Like, you're all set, man. Here you go.
Should release those, the Hungar box set.
Right.
That's a good idea. That's a really good idea. All right, gents. Talk to you later. Have a great weekend. Have a great week.
Shadow.
You guys.
All right.
And the Hungar box set is just like, it's the same body, same hip, but a different hat for each set. So like,
so they can swatch out.
The hat is just like a mohawk.
That's, I mean, a lot of the, like the Song of Ice and Fire metal miniatures from Dark Sword, they come with like multiple different hands so that you can make the hard decision if you want, like about what you want to be in that hand.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
But I mean, I picked up, okay, I don't even know. Okay, these are both Balin Greyjoy, but the metal one is so much better. Yeah.
And Jose, my opinion about UFOs, I have two. One, definitely military secrets we don't know about. Second off, there are plasmic events that can take place in the sky that we either can't measure properly, but we can see them, or they don't want to tell us how to measure them.
They're drones. Right.
Yeah, I gotta run too, guys. I gotta eat. I will catch you guys later. I wanted to drop by. You guys have a great night.
You too.
You too. And then there was two. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they could 100%. My dog's over there losing his mind about something because he has decided that he likes to talk. He has become a vocal little boy. So
how old is he?
2.
Oh yeah, so he's been a big dog for a while.
Yeah, he's it's probably my neighbor. My neighbor's this really cool German lady, and she's got a big what they call it, an Old English. So it's like an English pit bull, but it's freaking big as a barrel. You know what I mean? It's big, right? And occasionally she swings by and like drops us off schnitzel or homemade sauerkraut or, you know, just whatever. You know, she's like that. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, though, she's moving away because she was renting. And that sucks because she was like the best freaking neighbor. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't know who's going to come by next.
Yeah, now we don't know. And the people who own the place are like, whatever. So Yeah, it kind of sucks because, yeah, what you said. And like I said, she was so cool, man. She'd come over and bring like schnitzel or wursts with freaking German food. She would
Yeah.
always, because she overcooked. It's just her and her husband, and he's
Ah,
like retired from the army, so him and I get along great. And she just overcooks, and then she'll come over and be like, "Hey, you guys want some of this stuff?" And we'll be like, "Well, yeah, actually. I mean, if you got it." And then when my wife bakes, she always brings them over like whatever she bakes,
yeah.
because my wife is a baker. That's kind of her thing. She likes to do cookies and cakes and stuff. Not that
That
I
is a very Danish thing. Before you ask,
is it.
yeah, baking is a. I mean, I don't know how many do it nowadays, but baking, I remember everyone baking when I was a kid.
Yeah, she's into that for sure. She loves to do the baking. And of course, it sucks because I can't eat any of it. So it's like,
Ah,
thanks a lot. Like she did a whole pan of like peanut butter Rice Krispie treats with chocolate drizzled on the top of it. She's like, doesn't that smell great? And I'm like, smells great. Too bad I can't have any. You
okay, that,
trying
that
to
that is a
kill me
lot
over
worse,
here?
like than just a piece of cake or like a sugar cookie. What she makes, like she's intentionally making something that yeah, diabetic can't eat.
Right? I'm like,
Hello.
hey, how you doing, Jose?
Fine, and you? I decided to join the chat.
Well, you're always welcome. I'm sorry that things are going rough for you right now, but hang
Yeah,
in there.
yeah. I'm taking a break right now. The work is going to continue until Tuesday. I hope to have a relief on Tuesday, but it gets busy.
Oh, I'm sure. But
By the way, you don't believe in alien invasion, and you do not like clan invasion. I see a connection there.
well, I don't like the clan because there's no point of them.
When you guys say the clan, do you mean Battletech or the one with 3Ks?
BattleTech.
BattleTech.
Okay.
I don't like either clan, I should say.
Well, one is a little different from the other.
Not really. Not really. I mean, they're both supremacists that think they're better than like everyone else. That's not them. So, not that I needed to take it that way, but take it there. But that's where it is. But the Klan, from a science fiction society point of view, they make no sense. It's like at some point the technicians would just rise up and wipe them out. You know what I mean? Why would anyone just hang out and be enslaved forever? And then
Unless
the second problem is that Kerensky, by leaving the inner sphere and taking off, he is probably responsible for the death of trillions of humans. Had he stayed behind and tried to tamp shit down and keep order, the succession wars wouldn't have been so terrible. And the succession wars were so terrible that by the end of them, people had forgotten how to even make cars and shit. It's like everyone's dying of diseases. People are nuking each other's planets from orbit and shit like that because Kerensky just left. He just said, yeah, screw it. Taking the most powerful military in the galaxy that we know of, and I'm just leaving, just going. Why? That's just lame.
yeah,
He probably wanted to grow cabbages.
it
Like that.
was made up.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry, go
if
ahead.
I was in the Empire, cabbages are easy to grow. They can grow on like not even really good dirt. and the length of time between harvests is short. You can actually bring in 2 harvests of cabbage a year. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Whereas carrots take a long time to grow. Actually, you can only bring in one harvest of carrots.
Yeah.
So if you're really trying to feed people, say you're playing Medieval Destiny, which I do, cabbage and meat, and you make what they call pottage, which is just, boiled meat and cabbage, and then put it in a bowl and eat it.
Yeah. Which is
And
kind of funny because every farming sim I play, the carrots always grow faster than cabbage.
well, I mean, I'm basing my knowledge on a video game, so
Ah.
I could be wrong.
I mean,
Or it
it could
could
also
just
just
be the
be
kind
that
of cabbage.
it could also just be people think like, oh, carrots are those small things in the ground that grows in a bundle.
I can tell you this. I've been told that once a pineapple plant has a pineapple, it'll never have another pineapple.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's bullshit, because I've had a pineapple plant down here. It grew up big pineapple, so we cut it off and tuck it in and ate it. And it wasn't that many months later, had another one growing.
Hmm.
So I'd always heard that they only will do one, but no, this one was growing all kinds of them. So
If it does one, probably it is an agricultural practice. For example, with bananas, you can see that they grow the banana, they cut the bananas, and then they cut the plant so that the small one grows and has more energy to grow, instead of trying to grow the old tree and the new one, something like that. It is a matter of energy management to grow a plant faster, something like that, in the banana area. So probably with pineapple they follow something similar.
well, you want to watch out about them pineapples. The United States has literally went to war over pineapples and bananas. I think America back in like the 19 somethings literally overthrew the government of Nicaragua or something over bananas, because we want bananas and they're like, nope, no bananas, and we're like, all right, and we overthrew their government.
Yeah, basically there was a very connected Mughal,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yep,
the CIA basically used it as target practice.
yep. Now, hopefully, under the current administration, they'll rein the CIA in and uh, stop their shit. But the ATF already got caught with their bullshit, because he made it illegal for federal agencies to have DEI departments.
Oh yeah, and then they just changed the name.
They changed the name, but hey, you know what? The internet is forever, bitch. So I don't know. If I was the president, that woman and whoever her boss is would be getting fired. Both of them. Hit bricks. You're gone. But whatever, man. Whatever. But yeah, it's all whatever. People are I guess I am a isolationist, which America used to be isolationist before World War One.
Yeah.
And then we decided that we are going to get involved in everyone else's shit nonstop from then on out. So I was talking to this Polish guy, and he was pretty mad at me about my opinions regarding Eastern Europe. And he's all like, you do know that if something isn't done about the Russians, it's only a matter of time before they invade the Baltic states and Poland. And I'm like, why would you think that? I mean, what have they ever done in the last 30 years that would lead you to believe they're going to invade Estonia? It's like, you guys are just making shit up.
To be fair, that is part of the Polish circle, as they call it, cycle, as they call it.
The Polish cycle?
Yeah, basically, it is the Poles get knocked out in the war, they surrender, and then like even if they aren't, even if they get okay, then they rest, then they realize, hey, we are not beaten down anymore, and we've recovered. Let's see if we can expand, and then either Germany or Russia invades them, and then they complain. That's the
Well,
Polish cycle.
I know there for a long time they were the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure what happened there. Maybe it was the Russians that put an end to it, or whoever it was.
I don't remember the particulars, but yes, that is that also like one of the quote unquote secrets of World War II. That like after World War One, Poland, they after they gained their independence, they did look at how Germany weren't allowed to have a certain size military and tanks, and were
Right.
actually preparing to invade them.
They were going to invade Germany?
Well, not Germany itself, but like some of the outlying provinces, and take those.
Ah.
But I think that was like before, like the United Nations, like right before.
James. Oh,
Yes, sir.
sorry. James, I have some funny news for you. The French invented a board game that is called Va mourir sur Mars. It is like going to die on Mars. And it has the faces of Elon Musk, of Donald Trump, of Kim Jong un, Jeff Bezos, and Vladimir Putin
That is
in
funny.
cartoon.
Going to die on Mars.
Going to the
Well,
Mars
that is true that the last big presidential whatever, Trump said he's sending people to Mars. And Elon Musk was like grinning ear to ear and giving thumbs ups about it. So, I mean, these dudes aren't joking around. They want to send people to Mars. It's like, all right. I mean, you know, if that's what you want to do.
I don't want to leave. Sorry.
You know,
The weather of Falkland Islands is like a sunny day on Mars.
I'm
In
just
the
sitting here
in the
thinking about. I recently watched the movie The Andromeda Report, and nothing good happened there. Like they went all the way to Andromeda, landed their spaceship, and then immediately got ate by a giant tentacle monster. So it's like, yeah, I don't think I want to go. You know, I'm not a fan of tentacle monsters.
Yeah, and even if there are no monsters, it means that there is nothing. What will you find there? You are going to find perchlorate dust there that is poisonous to people. So basically, it is like going to live to a frozen chemical plant or something that is poison.
Well, they yeah, supposedly on Andromeda they have an oxygen atmosphere and water just like we have on Earth.
On
But the
Mars,
water's beneath like a foot thick ice shelf.
on Mars, the atmosphere is about 2% of Earth atmosphere, so it is almost vacuum.
Yeah, no, I'm talking Andromeda, which is also
Andromeda.
very thin
Yeah.
atmosphere. You couldn't like, plus it's like 1 billion degrees below zero. But there is liquid water there. So, you know, and if you watch the Andromeda report, or Europa report, that's Europa, not Andromeda.
Europa. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have that.
And they land and they're all like, next thing you know, they're all getting ate. It's like, wait a minute. It's like, I don't think I like this. It's like, why could you not send some robots first? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
some kind of starship with some drones or something to just have a peek around, kind of check life out. Now, the
Yeah.
biggest thing that pissed me off in recent history was when I forget who told me, but it made me very angry that NASA was changing the filters on all their cameras to make Mars look red because they didn't think that humans would be ready to know, Americans would be ready to know that Mars is not red. Like if you ever see any of the actual real photos from
like orange,
it's brown.
brown, yeah.
It just looks like the desert out in Arizona, you know what I mean? But for some reason they're like, oh shit, we better make these pictures red, otherwise I don't know, there'll be panic in the streets. People be running around murdering each other if Mars ain't red. Like anybody gives a shit if Mars is red or not. It's like
I mean, we have gotten over that the moon isn't made of yellow cheese, so
yeah, the moon is also not made of Havarti. But the other moon that they were looking at, according to the show I was watching, was Titan. But the problem with Titan is it does rain on Titan, but it rains like methane, like liquid methane or some shit.
Do you remember that frozen truck that in the movie Terminator, the one that froze the Terminator?
Yeah.
Basically, it is like living inside the truck.
Yeah, it's like, well, the temperature there's so many hundreds of degrees commie terms below zero. I don't know what it is in freedom units or how many bald eagles it is, but let's just say that, yeah, you have exactly 0% chance of existing more than a couple of seconds. You would just be friggin' flash frozen right down to the bones. But
yeah, and no way,
like,
and no way of having
there.
heating. No way of having heating because there is no sunlight to get some energy to heat yourself.
Well, when the one, I think Galileo went by Jupiter or Saturn, it took a picture looking back and the sun was like this tiny dot. You know what? Like, how we walk out and it's all like bright and whatever, but it's like, nah. But yeah, Europa apparently has more water on it than all the oceans on Earth combined. But it's under, a mile of ice. And it's ice cold and constantly bombarded with massive amounts of electromagnetism and radiation from Jupiter, I think. So it's kind of like a...
Indeed, when you send a probe to Jupiter, you need to make it protect the satellite or the device because the magnetic fields would fry the circuits.
Well,
apparently it is like
Russia sent a probe to Venus.
Yeah, to Venus, and it was crushed.
And it managed to stay operable for like 7 minutes.
So, guys, I have a question.
What?
Is there any reason to probe Uranus?
Get out of here. They need to go ahead and just rename Uranus to Eurectum.
Your what?
Eurectum.
Ah.
I mean, if we're going to do it, let's just do it.
That's also like one of my favorite. So do you guys know the game Mass Effect?
Of course.
Yes.
In the second game, there was like a mini game where like you went around to different planets to gather a resource, and the way you did it was like you sent probes, and then they like hand weighed who got the resources for you. You could go to the solar system and do it on Uranus, and the AI is not amused. Really, Commander?
Wing Commander was a good game too, but
Indeed.
yeah, I liked Mass Effect 1 and 2. Not a fan of 3 that much.
Yeah, as I tend to say, can you really call it a trilogy when it's 2.9 games?
Yeah, right. It's like you almost got there. Oh, there's this one guy, I forget his name, but he's an author. He finished his 6-part book series, and he dedicated it to R.R. Martin.
Oh yeah,
Dedicated to R.R. Martin. See, it can be done.
yeah.
Like, wow, that's kind of I don't know, that's kind of a dick move. You know what I mean? Poor R.R. Martin's hanging out in Mexico or wherever he lives, thinking about floppy wieners, minding his own business, and some dude's clowning on him. It's like,
Talking about Wing Commander, have you noticed how similar it is the everything in Wing Commander to Battlestar Galactica 1978? Have you noticed?
no, I never paid attention to that, honestly.
Well, check it out and you will see. Also, there is something that caught my attention about Battlestar Galactica 78, which is that the Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi seem to have borrowed elements from episodes from Battlestar Galactica.
Oh well, I mean, I'm sure, but I thought what ended Battlestar Galactica back in the 80s is Lucas sued him or something.
Yeah, yeah, I am not very happy about that Lucas move.
He also sued Battletech.
Yeah,
Okay.
The
That
original name of Battletech was Battle Droids.
what?
well, it looks
Yep,
better, sounds better as BattleTech.
yep. The first box sets that came out, it was Battle Droids, and Lucas sued him over the word droid.
But he didn't
Told him
even
you're
come
not
up
allowed
with
to
it.
use the word droid.
But he didn't even come up with that word droid. Like droid was, yeah, it
It's just
basically,
short for Android, right?
it's no, the and part is to indicate that it's male. The droid part indicate that it's artificial, which is why a gynoid is, yeah.
Oh, see,
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Learn something new every day.
So a droid is basically just an artificial, yeah,
So, like
human or something like that.
Android,
Yeah.
artificial man, and then gyno. Okay, artificial woman. Got it.
Yeah, yeah, the gynoid one, that is, how should we say, you can find it in all dictionaries, but a lot of modern ones forget it and just have Android.
Huh. The Here's an interesting question. And the last, while we're still chatting though, if you were a Blade Runner, would you want to be a human or Nexus 9?
What was the second one?
Nexus 9, a replicant.
Oh, I would probably be a human, and like it would suck, but at least I have a lifespan.
Well, Nexus 9 do not have any incept dates.
They are not what?
No, they have no incept date. They live until they are actually killed.
Oh,
Have you watched the latest Blade Runner 2047?
nope. I only watched the original, and I watched the one where they didn't try hard to make the protagonist and replicant. Because if I remember correctly, there is more than one released version of it.
Oh, well, there's 2047. It's got like Ryan Gosling in it, and he plays a Blade Runner that is a Nexus 9.
Hmm.
And they don't have any incept dates. They don't die after 4 years. They all get artificial memories, except they all know their memories are artificial because they know they're replicants.
Hmm.
So they know their memories are
think
fake, but the memories help them just deal.
I think that quality of life would be the most important criteria because it is not about who you are, but what kind of living you're going to have.
Okay, I can't disagree with that. in the show, every time he goes and does a job, when he comes back to the police department, they do a test on him, and to make sure he's still stable.
Mm.
And he eventually fails the test, and they're going to kill him. But because he'd been such a good cop, the chief lets him go. But she only guarantees him like a couple of days, you know.
Yeah.
So give the Nexus the medication, and that's it.
So it's kind of shitty because it's like, you know, he didn't do anything wrong except he was ordered to kill a human. And that's something he had never done. And it threw his like internal everything off. And because it threw his internal whatever's off, they decided that he needed to be put down.
Which is kind of ironic because that would also happen to humans if they're told they had to kill a human.
Yeah, not just a human, a baby.
Okay, yeah, that too. That would make it worse.
Yep. And he lied. He said he did it, but he didn't. But he lied and said he did. And that was the other thing is that in the show, the Nexus, when it's talking to a human, and it's like, you think we can't lie, don't you? And then it tells a blatant lie.
Mm.
And yeah, that's Love. Yeah, she tells the chief of police, I think I'll tell them that you lunged at me, so I had to kill you. The cop was like, what? He's like, man, she killed her because. But Love was not a anything. And what I mean is Love was a custom AI, a custom replicant.
Yeah.
So not a, kind of like how Rachel was in a Nexus 6 from the original. Rachel was a completely unique replicant.
Yeah.
And Love is like that. She's completely unique. But anyway, let's see. I'm going to go take off. It's been a couple hours. My wife sounds like she's sobering up.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for joining me. And also, I'll catch you guys later.
Yeah. Have a good one.
Okay, see ya.
And hang in there, Jose.
Yeah.
Okay, don't worry. Thank you very much, and I appreciate that. Okay.
And it's good seeing you again, Dean. I hope you're feeling better.
Okay.